The summer of 1866 in rural Mississippi was thick with humidity and silence. War had ended a year before, but its shadow still lingered. Many families were broken, many farms abandoned, and superstition clung tighter than ever to the survivors. In the heart of this weary land lived the Whitlock family. Among them was their youngest son, Samuel, a boy of only 10. He was pale, with restless eyes that never seemed to focus on the same thing for long. His mother often said he had been different since birth, too quiet, too observant. But no one could have foreseen what came next. It began as a game. At night, Samuel would sit on the porch, rocking in his chair, and count backwards in a soft, sing-song voice. 10, 9, 8. His siblings teased him, saying he sounded like a preacher at a funeral. Yet every time he reached 0, something strange happened. The first time was dismissed as coincidence. Their old hunting dog collapsed lifeless in the dirt the moment Samuel whispered the final number. The family buried the dog the next morning, and no one spoke of the counting. The second time, a farmhand dropped dead while working the fields. His heart, healthy just hours before, gave out without warning. Neighbors whispered about bad air or lingering sickness from the war. But Samuel's older sister, Mary, had been nearby. She swore she had heard him counting behind the barn just moments before the man fell. By the third time, no one could deny it. Samuel, sitting cross-legged on the parlor floor, whispered backwards from 5. As he spoke the final word, 0, his grandmother gasped and crumpled in her rocking chair, dead before she hit the floor. The family was shaken, terrified of the boy they loved but could no longer understand. His mother wept, clutching her Bible. His father grew cold, refusing to meet his son's gaze. Neighbors began avoiding the farm, whispering that Samuel carried the devil's tongue. And Samuel, he only smiled faintly and asked, "Do you want me to count again?" Word spread fast in towns like Oak Ridge. By autumn, people crossed the road rather than walk past the Whitlock farm. Preachers denounced the boy as cursed, some even calling him a harbinger. Children were told never to look him in the eyes. Inside the house, fear hardened into something worse. Samuel's father tried to keep him locked in his room, but the boy always found ways to slip out. He'd wander the fields, murmuring numbers, sometimes starting at 50, sometimes at 20. Each time, something nearby died: livestock, birds, even a neighbor's newborn calf. Mary noticed something even more disturbing. Samuel didn't always finish the countdown. Sometimes he'd stop midway, and the world seemed to hold its breath, waiting. He told her in a whisper one night, "They're listening when I count. If I stop, they wait. But when I say 0, they answer." Mary trembled. "Who's answering? Sam?" He only shrugged. The ones behind the dark. The family begged the church for help. Ministers came, prayed over Samuel, sprinkled him with holy water. But each left quickly, pale and shaken. One pastor told the Whitlocks that the boy was a vessel and that keeping him alive might doom them all. By the following spring, Samuel's presence had driven the family into isolation. His father stopped working the fields. His mother grew thin from fear. Mary stayed close to her brother, still clinging to the idea that he was just a boy, not a curse. But even she could not ignore what happened next. One stormy night, the town's only physician, Dr. Price, arrived at the farm. He had heard the rumors, but believed in science more than superstition. He demanded to see Samuel and insisted the boy was simply ill, perhaps with seizures or some nervous disorder. To prove it, Dr. Price asked Samuel to count backwards in front of him. The boy tilted his head, curious, then began 5, 4, 3. Before he reached 0, Mary screamed for him to stop. But Samuel smiled and whispered the final number. Dr. Price collapsed instantly, his eyes wide open, his lips frozen mid-sentence. He was dead before he hit the ground. From that night on, no one outside the family ever dared to come near the farm again. The Whitlocks were alone, trapped with their son and his terrible gift. And Samuel kept counting. By 1868, the farm was nearly abandoned. The crops failed, the animals were gone, and Samuel's father disappeared one morning, never to return. Some whispered he had fled, others that Samuel's countdown had claimed him too. Mary, now nearly grown, had taken it upon herself to care for her mother and keep Samuel under watch. But the boy had grown stranger with each passing month. He spent hours scratching numbers into the walls, always backward, always stopping at 0. At night, she heard him murmuring 2 voices no one else could hear. One evening, she entered his room to find him crouched by the window, whispering to the dark. His lips moved in silent numbers, but she couldn't hear his voice until he turned and said, "They want me to finish, Mary? They say if I reach 0 enough times, the door will open." She shuddered. "What door?" He pointed at the black night beyond the window. "It's the one behind everything." That same week, their mother fell ill. Fever gripped her, and Mary begged Samuel not to count near her. But one night, she woke to hear his soft chant drifting down the hall. 3, 2, 1, 0. By morning, their mother was gone. Mary's grief hardened into resolve. She cornered her brother in the parlor, demanding he stop. "Don't you see? You're killing everyone we love." Samuel only frowned. "I'm not killing them. I'm letting them through. The others do it. The others, okay?" She whispered, horrified. "They're waiting behind the dark. And when the last number falls, they'll come." Mary knew then that the boy she loved was lost. The curse had consumed him. She made a decision no sister should ever have to make. That night, as Samuel slept, she tied a rope to the rafters. Her hand shook as she slipped it around his small neck, whispering apologies through her tears. But as she pulled, his eyes snapped open and he began to count. 5, 4, 3. His voice didn't choke, didn't falter. It grew louder, stronger, filling the house. Mary screamed and tried to silence him, but the numbers kept spilling from his mouth, echoing as if multiple voices joined in. The walls rattled, the floorboards shook. Outside, the wind howled like 1,000 voices screaming in unison. 2, 1. Mary covered her ears. "Stop, please, Sam," 0. The rope snapped from the rafters as if cut by unseen hands. Samuel dropped gently to the floor, standing unharmed. His eyes glowed faintly in the candlelight. "They're here," he whispered. The next morning, neighbors found the Whitlock farm abandoned. The house stood silent, but every wall was etched with backward numbers, carved deep into the wood. No trace of Mary or Samuel was ever found. To this day, locals claim that on stormy nights, if you walk past the ruins of the Whitlock place, you'll hear it. A boy's voice counting down, slow and deliberate. And if you wait long enough to hear him say 0, someone nearby always dies.